What's up? Welcome in, Hoge and Jahns. We're back, baby. Adam Hoge isn't, but Kevin Fishbain. And if you're watching on YouTube, a fully bearded Kevin Fishbain is here for a camp preview. What's going on, Kev?
It's my off-season beard, just a little bit longer than in season. And so I don't know if you know this, Johnsy, but if you're on vacation, Hogue periodically makes a few jokes about it on this here show. I never partake. I just, let him do his thing. So, you have the floor here. This is a time to go away. So, but you might want to give it back to him a little
Well,
bit.
we haven't gotten the snapback hat picture yet on Twitter.
That's true.
Where he promotes our merch. You could go to obviousshirts.com for that stuff. Got that out of the way. We haven't gotten that picture yet to annoy us. So maybe he's just going fully quiet.
Yeah, might be.
Nah, no.
Do you
jokes.
think he's listening to this?
He probably will tomorrow on his ride home.
He'll send us some.
So if you have any good jokes, make sure you get them in here in a couple minutes. If they come to mind,
I'll work on it.
Okay. Yeah, I got nothing off the top of my head. We'll get a few in there. Probably working on his hair or something.
The hair. I was gonna say Hogue's he's hard to make fun of.
No, you got to do it the right way. He's probably working on his draft board, his grades,
good
stuff.
Good call.
Watching punters from Carmel and whatnot. Working on long snapping drills. Texting Chris Tabor for advice. That's what he's doing on vacation.
Now Hoge is part of another podcast, and I happened to jump in the YouTube comments there last week, and I did ask for his top 10 rankings of Bears personal protectors for the punter.
Yes.
And he didn't provide them. He just gave me number 1, which is DHC. I want to know who the backup
Well, we all know that. Come on.
I want to know the third string. Come on. I mean, this is his thing. This is special teams.
Well, it is only his second year coaching special teams, so maybe he's trying to learn a bit more. No?
Yeah.
Special teams.
I would hope that he's spending a vacation trying to figure out an answer to my question. He's got to work on his quarterback rankings for 2023.
Yeah.
He's keeping himself busy.
I'm sure he is. All right. You guys know the deal. As I knock my cord out of the wall, I'm Adam Jahns. You can read me and Kevin Fishbain. K Fishbain. That's K Fish Bain. I think I spelled it wrong last time you were on this show. Got it right this time. Yeah. You didn't correct me.
Did you give me the BEIN?
No. I don't know what I did, but someone called me out on Twitter. But here you are, filling in for Adam Hoge. It's the Fishbain and Jahns podcast. Oh, I don't like that. Jahns and Fishbain podcast. Sorry. He's got the post-it note if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah, I think he's just going alphabetical.
Yeah, that's probably right. But you know the deal. You can read us on theathletic.com. Adam Hoge is on allchgo.com. Check him out there. Kevin, let's start with this. You ran your annual Bears survey. And just my first question off that, you can check that out on theathletic.com. Kevin does it every single year. Why did Sid Luckman beat out Jay Cutler this year after Jay Cutler, for some reason, beat him out the past 2 years?
Yeah, so one of my favorite questions, Johnsy, is who is the best Bears quarterback of all time? I do it each year. Cutler won in 2020. Cutler won in 2021. But, I mean, if you look at the last calendar year, Sid Luckman put up good numbers. Jay, not so much. I don't know. Our Jay's been much more in the media over the past year.
He's got his own podcast.
He's got his own podcast. Maybe some folks, decided to use the poll to express any kind of disagreements with one Jay Cutler. Maybe now that more time has passed from the Cutler era, because sometimes I thought that, with the struggles with Mitch Trubisky, then you go to Foles and Dalton, and then Fields' tough rookie season, that it would increase the appreciation for Jay. But maybe in the past year, there's been a little bit of a flip of that. Maybe Bears fans, decided they wanted more. So, that was a big news. Sid Luckman, now the Athletics' best Bears quarterback of all time, and we'll see who wins next year.
There you go. Well, voted on by readers.
Yeah, 2,000, more than 2,000 readers voted. So
great results, Gare. I'm obviously kidding by bringing this up first, but I do want to make this observation about it. I feel like Cutler's become this very lovable character post-career where almost all the frustrations of his career have been forgotten. Maybe that's because of Trubisky. Mike Glennon would certainly make a Jay Cutler look a lot better. I believe that was his first replacement, if I remember correctly. But Sid Luckman always has been, the Bears' best quarterback, and that's been the most long-standing problem with the franchise.
I will give some credit to the 4 people who wrote in Josh McCown.
One of them is probably Mark Carman.
Probably.
Yeah, good friend. Yeah. Friend of the show. Anything else going through your survey? Seems like the same as usual vote struck me, and I get that feeling. Take us through that question if you can.
Yeah, I just wanted to feel what people, the level of confidence in the direction of the franchise, because so much of this offseason has been Ryan Poles kind of takes over. It is his team, brand new direction, lots of new philosophies, lots of new people in the building. So I wanted to get the sense of what Bears fans felt. And, nearly 30% said they were very confident compared to only 7% said they're not buying what he's selling. But I did throw in the option of it's the same as usual. It's still the Bears, which was 63%. Because I do think there is a sense of you can change the GM, you can change the head coach, you can change the quarterback. There's one thing you can't change. And, we've talked about this a lot that, to quote our good friend Mark Sylvie, it starts at the top. And I think there's a sentiment that as long as the people who are ultimately in charge are making the decision that leads to Ryan Poles, that leads to Matt Eberflus, that leads to the coordinators and the players, that this thing is just not going to be a consistent winner.
So your exact question was, what best describes your level of confidence in the direction of the franchise? And with 63.4% of the vote, it was same as usual. It's still the Bears. With Matt Eberflus, I want to say it feels even more business as usual, doesn't it? It's a defensive-minded coach who is from that Lovie Smith, Tony Dungy tree, talking about takeaways and forced fumbles, all that stuff that we've heard so often before. So that would be my vote. That was my vote. Same as usual. It's still the Bears. You have, again, we did a long story on this. You have a GM, a quarterback, and a coach who are not aligned. They may say all the right things about Justin Fields right now, but Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles were not here to draft Justin Fields. They inherited Justin Fields. So you still have the same as usual, where the top 3 football guys, your quarterback, your GM, and your coach are not aligned again.
Yeah, and I think I do think a big
and I don't think we can't. That's not an overblown point.
No.
You may like Justin Fields. This isn't a criticism of Justin Fields. It's a criticism of the entire franchise and how it's functioned under George McCaskey.
Yeah, and it's not Justin Fields' fault that they're not aligned. It's not Ryan Poles' fault that they're not aligned. I mean, we all know all the things that led to the Bears to this point. But I do think a theme of the survey results when it pertained to this year's team was very much wait and see. I think people are understandably not that confident, but they're also not ready to not give Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, and Justin Fields a chance. We get into some of the Justin Fields stuff, but I do think there's just this overall tepid, we just don't know. We'll see, but for the most part, I think people are just, you look at the roster, you look at the recent history. We're talking about a team that hasn't won a playoff game in more than a decade. So it's understandable that even though people are happy it's a new regime, that it's just hard to really get that excited about this group.
Or just look at the roster.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, for the listeners, check out Monday. You can meet the 90 Bears. And I did find at least one sentence to write about all 90 Bears.
Wow, that's
And let me tell you, for those of you going to Lake Forest, when they hand out rosters, get a roster. Because you're just not going to know who a lot of these guys are.
Make fun of us if you want. But this is what, our 11th or 12th season? They all run together at this point. 12th?
Yeah. This is my 10th, so I believe it means it's your 11th.
11th. I've been here since Lovie Smith, and this is just in terms of quantity, the turnover of this roster just feels so significant. Like you see a play, like a standout play, and you double check your roster like 3 or 4 times just to make sure you got the right guy. That's how it feels. Before you could tell who was making the plays. You knew who was starting. You knew who the backups were. This is different. There are so many new faces on this team. Let's stick with Justin Fields. Another question you had in your survey. Again, check it out at theathletic.com. How confident are you that Justin Fields will be a star? And a lot of 3-4 votes there. Take us through what that means, actually.
Yeah, so I said 5 at the highest. And what's interesting to me was the comparison from last year, right? So this year, 1 to 5, 5 being most confident, 39.7% gave it a 4. Last year, that was 52.9. So I think that kind of shows you a big decrease. But I do think, again, a lot of people picked 3, 38.3%. A lot more than they did last year. So again, I think that shows you we saw his rookie season. We're just not sure if he's going to be the guy. I think that was reflected. It's like we still want him. We still are hopeful. There's a lot of reasons that we've talked about on the show all summer, spring, winter long, but there definitely is a diminishing of confidence, not a ton overall in what his potential is.
Well, a lot of it is, and we'll get to camp storylines here to close off the podcast. Like, can he overcome what's around him?
Right.
There's
right.
problems in front of him, outside of him, behind them sounds good, but there are widespread concerns about that offense, including the offensive coordinator, which is my next on my list here to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, new playbook, new scheme, new players to throw to. So yeah, so even if you feel like individually Justin Fields has what it takes, there's going to be some growing pains this year. I think the thing that goes against Justin Fields too, and we talked about this during the Mitch era, is we are now in an era, again to use that word, where the great quarterbacks are great almost immediately, right? Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Yep. Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes. The exception is Josh Allen, right? So what you're essentially rooting for is Justin Fields to be Josh Allen. But when you do that, you're rooting for an exception in a way. Now, I think there's a lot of different ways to look at that where you don't have to get that extreme. Like Justin Fields could still be a top 10 quarterback in this league. Doesn't have to be Josh Allen. But he could still be really good at what this team needs. But it's hard when you look at recent data to sit here and look at that rookie season, and you can make every legitimate excuse, very legitimate excuse, and still struggle to say, oh, I know he's going to be a star. Like, Jahns, I wish I put that poll out on May 1st of 2021, like the day or two after he was drafted. I mean, the euphoria in this town.
Yeah.
And that shifted a little bit.
Euphoria at Hallis Hall.
Oh my goodness.
Like a second chance. They thought they were getting a second chance.
And I think that, that just has dissipated a little bit. And again, most of this is to no fault of Justin Fields. We all know that they did not have the right offense for him last year. Everything was a mess. And then again, like with Mitch, there are just things that, there's not a lot of patience anymore in this league for quarterbacks to take their time to become great.
I think, 9 sacks in Cleveland will, that's a hard dose of reality about where he was as a quarterback at that point, but also indication of just how bad maybe offensively the Bears were to coach up a young quarterback. I do think some of the criticisms out there of Fields, there's some over nitpicking on who he is and what he can be, but he still got to prove it. He still got to show that you can have hope, but he needs to be better than last year. I think we can all agree. There's a lot of statistics. There's a lot of advanced analysis. Then there's just the eye test. Everything has to be better for Justin Fields in year 2, and how he does that with the help he has around him. That is the biggest storyline of camp, of the season, of everything this year in 2022.
Yeah, I know we're going to get to your storylines at the end, but I mean, he could be top 10 storylines, all 10 of them.
Yeah, I thought about doing that, but I want to talk about Tevin Jenkins just a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, little tease. It doesn't seem the voters weren't exactly blown away by what Luke Getsy can provide Justin Fields. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I gave bad I gave bad options. I got roasted a little bit in the comments from some of our loyal readers for I, so my options were, well, the question is, what are your expectations for offensive coordinator Luke Getsy? So, kind of on the negative side, I'm nervous about a first-time play caller. On the ultimate positive side, he will be the difference maker for Fields in the offense and earn a head coaching position. And then kind of in the middle, I was like, the personnel isn't good enough. Does it even matter? Because that's the one thing you talk about with Fields too. Like, look what Getsy has at his disposal. Like, how could you really expect this group to look good? Like he could be a master schemer, and look what he has to work with. So most people picked that. The same amount of people picked nervous versus he could be the guy. We just don't know. I mean, I think if anything, Johnsy, voters are, I feel like based on that vote, fans are going to be patient with Luke Getsy. I think there is going to be an understanding of what he's coming into. And look, this is a guy that got a head coaching interview last year. He's obviously got some respect around the league, but it is his first time as an NFL play caller. So I think there's going to be, let's just say, I feel like there will be more patience for him than most offensive coordinators who come through Chicago.
Which one? There's been so many.
So many.
So many. Speaking of Jay Cutler, offensive coordinators, right? I was not surprised by offensive line being the number one concern for everyone in America.
Yeah, not even close. I mean, 64% of the vote, not even close.
I mean, wide receiver, I get it, but
yeah,
there is a wide open race at right guard, and I am really interested to see if Tevin Jenkins becomes one of the horses in it.
Ooh.
Why not, right?
I mean, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. My one thing is, like, you had all of those OTAs in minicamp. Why wouldn't you just throw him in there just to see his movement a bit? I don't know, but like
that's the time to experiment.
Yeah,
you got time to experiment come training camp, but eventually you want to find your best five and get some chemistry going.
Yeah. Now this is offensive line storyline number 2.
I actually had it number 3.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I think from a training camp specific standpoint, we always talk about you really get to know these guys when the pads come on. It's like that's the position, right? And the 3 guys that are Tevin Jenkins, Larry Bourne, Braxton Jones. Like ideally, 2 of those 3 are starting at tackle, and they're not trying to find Jason Peters off a fishing boat again. But you're right. Right guard is like, I don't know, Johnsy. Like, could you really see Sam Mustipher starting at right guard in week 1 against San Francisco?
Yes. But he's also on the bubble, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just watching how practices have unfolded.
Well, I like the idea of there being just a very open competition. A lot of these guys, hopefully, will get a shot there. Then again, you want to see a guy just jump up and grab it. And that's why, the first padded practice is what? It's usually Friday or Saturday. So that'll be kind of that'll be big time to really see where these guys are at.
All right, before we jump into a full camp preview, I was kind of surprised that the voters in your survey are kind of torn on moving to Arlington Heights. I thought it'd be more like, yeah, let's go. Brand new stadium. This is going to be great. Maybe there's a casino out there, hotel, restaurants. Maybe the racetrack is still there. But no, some folks are still torn to the shoreline, Lakeshore.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things in play. I think people who live in the city are not excited about possibly having a trek out to Arlington Heights, similarly to how people who live in the suburbs might not enjoy going to the city. I think there is a wistfulness for what Soldier Field stands for. A lot of people wrote in the columns, but what they would miss most, the history. I did joke that, we talk about Soldier Field being this historic place. It is a historic place, but not for the Bears, right? They've only been there.
Wrigley.
They played there for 50 years. Yeah. Like, I mean, you talk to like the generation above us, and they'll tell you some of their great Bears memories took place at Wrigley Field, not Soldier Field. The lakefront and just like, look, what they build in Arlington Heights will probably be something amazing. But you're never going to have that scene of the lake and the skyline and the beaches and the boats that you get now. And I think people like that. So I get it, but it was hard to gauge like what people prefer, because I was an open ended, like, what excites you most about Arlington Heights, what excites you least, what will you miss most from Soldier Field. But a lot of people kind of said nothing. You see a lot of apathy about it, but I think there was probably more than I thought of people who were, enjoy the fact that there's a stadium right there on the lake in Chicago.
Well, it's still kind of a tourist attraction. Games like
Yeah.
that. Arlington Heights doesn't exactly scream, let's go to Chicago. And that'll be a traffic nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you got the Metro going right by it, but that'll be a traffic nightmare out there in Arlington Heights as well. Need some infrastructure updates. I get it. There was a Bears fan came up to me the other day, and they brought up Arlington Heights, and they had little to no faith in the Bears actually like building it right. And what I tried to tell him is that Hallis Hall, believe it or not, they did it right in terms of the expansion. Now, you may have to rehire Ryan Pace to take over that overhaul or whatever plans you want for Arlington Heights. But the Bears, they did it right. Hallis Hall is beautiful. I think it would shock some Bears fans how impressive it is. And they only get a glimpse of it a little bit when they come out there for training camp, but it's an impressive facility right now.
Wasn't Ted Phillips was kind of the point man for the Soldier Field renovation 20 years ago?
Years ago, yes.
And he's right now, he's the point man for Arlington Heights.
For now.
Yeah, so what are people worried about?
Well, touche. Rehire Ryan Pace to run it.
Real quick, one more thing from a survey. I wanted your take on the jersey question. What jersey would you buy? Not Justin Fields, of anybody on the team. And you wrote in the vote, and in 5th place was no one. Like, people took the time to write in no one, nobody would not buy a jersey. That came in 5th place, which I think just gives you a sense of the, combos like the animosity, anonymity of this team, that there's just a lot of unknown guys.
All right. 2 thoughts on this. Have you seen the video of that obnoxious adult, call him that if you will, trying to get the autograph, where he's literally like elbowing a kid in the head at the All-Star game festivities to get a ball signed by someone who's like 20 years younger than him? Like, that's pathetic behavior. Like, did you see that?
Yeah. Yes, I did. And I think back in our Bourbonnais days, we saw a few of those people lining the gallery.
Yes. So I don't know why I thought about that, just in terms of no name, because it is. I think that's why you see a lot of Peytons out there, a lot of Hamptons out there, because those are childhood favorites. So I'm going to what my kids want. They want the Justin Fields jersey. Right.
But he wasn't. You weren't allowed to.
I know you could have put him in. Yeah. David Montgomery. My son has a David Montgomery jersey. He likes him. My other son wants a Darnell Mooney jersey.
I was gonna say, I think if I had to pick one, like if my son was like, I want a jersey, I would probably go Darnell Mooney, because you also want some longevity. You want the guy to be there for a while. You want him to be the type of player that your kid's gonna like look up to, who, like, I hate the phrase does it the right way, but that's kind of how Darnell Mooney is. David Montgomery the same way. And the wide receiver, all the kids want to be wide receivers.
The offensive players, or the kids are always drawn to the offensive players. Everybody wants to run with the ball.
I could see Komet. He got a decent amount of love, being the hometown guy. The city likes a good tight end. But the other surprising result, Johnsy, was Jaquan Brisker. Jaquan Brisker came in 4th, and obviously it's because everybody read the great story I wrote about him last month. But it could also just be this is a town that loves safeties, that has like wanted the next Mike Brown. For 2 years they thought Eddie Jackson was it. Eddie Jackson came in 2nd in this poll, I believe, the first time I did it. He fell out of the top 10 this year. I think the fans have read and seen that we've seen some good things from Brisker already. And that's a position where it's like, oh, I could really get on board with somebody at that spot making big plays for my team.
Yeah, absolutely. Roquan Smith, He was high
Yeah,
on
I
there,
mean,
wasn't he? Number one.
he was number one. Yeah, when I think he was number 2 last year. And again, linebacker, phenomenal player. Assuming he signs an extension, first round pick. Yeah, seems to have everything you would probably want out of getting a jersey.
But if I'm going off like what I see when kids at baseball games or football camps or school camps have you, with my boys, a lot of Fields jerseys, a decent amount of Mooney and Montgomery jerseys, but then like you'll still see kids wearing Peyton jerseys. Like my son's got a Peyton jersey. It's because
Well,
if any
yeah,
good parent should enlighten their sons about
in the
the
John
history of the team.
Fox, I mean, think about the John Fox era, right? Like maybe you saw Forte and Jeffrey jerseys. You did see some color jerseys. You saw some Kyle Long jerseys, but you would almost always see more Urlacher, more Peyton, more Ditka, Butkus, guys like that than the current team. Then you had this little spell after 2018 where you finally saw more current players represented. You saw a lot of Trubisky jerseys, tons of Mac jerseys. I mean, he was number 1 for sure by a mile. Eddie Jackson. So you saw a lot of that after 2018. And then now we're kind of back in this, maybe you'd rather have the guy from 85 as opposed to the guy from 2022.
If you're into this jersey conversation, not just like the look, but like what people are wearing, follow John Greenberg. If you haven't already, our colleague from The Athletic here, every game, especially earlier in the year, he does he walks around the stadium and gets a feel for which players are now favorites in this town based on what jerseys people are wearing. It's always fun.
What's the last jersey you got? I imagine like as a gift or bought. Do you know?
Like for myself?
Yeah. Like if somebody gifted you a jersey, probably when you were, I imagine it would have been like when you were a kid.
I had an old Latrell Sprewell jersey.
Oh my.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had a Pippen. I was a Pippen guy. Scottie Pippen. Jordan's the best ever, but Scottie Pippen was my guy. I don't remember.
Now,
I remember the Sprewell one.
Were you wearing those to school? No T-shirt under it? Let it all.
I was a Catholic school kid, so we couldn't wear. We had to wear blue polos. So no, no.
You can wear it under your polo.
Yeah. But my youngest will rock the Jordan jersey that he has with the undershirt. He thinks it's a cool look. Not bad for a 5-year-old boy.
I got one holidays. It would have been probably 98, 99. I got a Randy Moss jersey. That was a cool one. And then obviously I have like a shelf of Northwestern jerseys.
Of like who?
I got Damian Anderson. I've got I have like I have one that I learned later was like a knockoff. It was like there's no number on the front and there's a 51 on the back. So it's like this weird like Fitz jersey that they screwed up at the manufacturer. So I do a Fitz jersey. I've got Damian Anderson. I think I have a Tyrell Sutton jersey for the diehard Northwestern.
Those don't have names on all of them, do they?
No. The Damian Anderson does because I got that as a gift, and the person like went to one of those places where you could put the name on. So yeah, but I don't think I had any good NBA jerseys. I was a bit, you know what I was? This you can make fun of me for this. I was a big Jersey guy.
Yeah.
Because I was just kind of
big with the kids.
Yeah, I was very scrawny. I didn't need anybody seeing like my forearms at school, so I liked the jersey. So I had Mark Pryor. That was a jersey I wore a fair amount.
I had a Ryan Sandberg jersey. That's my favorite Cub growing up.
Is this the part, by the way, where the YouTube commenters are going to yell at us?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's okay. But the Chicago ones, the Chicago listeners who feel a bit nostalgic.
You know what? Instead of yelling at us, put in the comments your favorite jerseys that you got.
Or the most random ones.
Yeah.
I feel like
the random ones are fun.
I had a buddy growing up who got a Tim Hardaway Heat jersey. Does that sound right? Was he on the Heat for a little bit?
Yes. Yeah.
The killer crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, memories.
A friend of the program, Chris Emma, has a collection of very random like bearish jerseys from the early 2000s.
Really?
Yeah, he's got a very eclectic sort of jerseys lying somewhere. So,
Okay. Good to know. If you're looking for some fresh coffee, some great tasting coffee, and something you can make at home, well, Trade Coffee might just be perfect for you. It feels perfect for me. Trade Coffee connects customers to the freshest and best tasting coffee they've ever made at home by partnering with the country's best craft roasters. These are independent businesses from small towns and big cities. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, often being the largest source of new growth for them. Trade has this first match guarantee. It works like this. Trade delivers a bag of freshly roasted coffee, as whole beans or ground, for however you brew it at home, and they guarantee you'll love your first order, or they'll replace it for free. Trade has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee with more than 750,000 positive reviews. That's 750,000 positive reviews. So right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/Adam22. It's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/Adam22 and let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/Adam22 for $30 off. The hot summer months are here, and we need to be proactive about keeping our bodies fueled and hydrated. Making hydration a priority can help us feel healthier in our everyday lives. 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. Plus, Liquid IV products can taste great with 10 refreshing flavors like Concord Grape, Lemon Lime, Pina Colada, and Tropical Punch. It's one of my favorites. Sounds like summer, doesn't it? See, for me in summer, I'm coaching a lot of Little League baseball games. It's hot. It's 95 degrees out there. It gets humid in Chicago, so we sweat. Just look at my baseball hat. For me, Liquid IV is invaluable. It helps refuel me, helps rehydrate me, helps me feel good that day and even the next day. It's just part of my routine. Liquid IV, 16 ounces of water, helps hydrate you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. Better yet, Liquid IV is on a mission to change the world. For every purchase, they donate a serving to someone in need. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 24 million servings globally. So grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco. You can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code HOGE, it's H-O-G-E, at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code HOGE at liquidiv.com. What's up, everyone? I want to tell you about my Helix mattress. First, it's easy to get, and it's cool how it unfolds out of the box. It really is. But you know what? It's just amazing to sleep on. You get comfortable right away, and you're off into your dreams for a great full night of sleep. You just wake up feeling good and ready to go. Helix Sleep has a quiz that takes just 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why would you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you know will be perfect for the way that you sleep. Everybody's unique, and Helix knows that, so you have several different mattress models to choose from. They have soft, medium, fur mattresses. Mattresses great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. Just a lot of different options. I took the Helix quiz, and I was matched to the Midnight mattress because I wanted something that felt just right, and I move around all night long. And I love it. It's a huge upgrade over what I used to have. Delivery was so simple too. So if you're looking for a new mattress, you take the quiz. You order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't ever need to go to a mattress store ever again. Helix is awesome, but don't take my word for it. GQ and Wired Magazine made it their #1 mattress. Helix also has been recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine. Just go to helix.com/Adam, take their 2-minute quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Adam. That's helixsleep.com/Adam. Let's talk about training camp real quick before we get out of here.
Yep.
It's here, everybody. We wanted to give you this episode before some players actually show up officially at Halas Hall. So this Saturday, let me get the exact date. What is this Saturday? Saturday, July 23rd. Rookies, quarterbacks, and injured veterans report to Halas Hall. So camp starts before it even starts, really. That's this Saturday.
Yep.
On Tuesday, the 26th, that's when we get invited back up to Hallis Hall. That's where they have the opening training camp press conference, and that's when all veterans report to camp. It's when they have their conditioning tests and all that stuff. So camp, it's here Saturday. I like to call it, it's like the pitchers and catchers day. Starts on Saturday. You ready, Kev?
First day of school, right? I will get nostalgic on Tuesday because I did like that first drive down Bourbonnais, and you get there and you get your dorm key, and
I miss those days.
Yeah, we're standing on the sidewalk as guys are coming in with their garbage bags of pillows and bringing their Xbox, and we're grabbing guys outside the dorms to talk, and then we get the big press conference inside Olivet Nazarene University. We write our stories, and we go out to Brickstone for dinner, Donlands for a couple cold ones and some bags. Then training camp was underway.
Can I share a story down there? Because I think time has passed. More like a lot of time has passed.
Of course,
since this story.
It is your podcast, even though your name is second.
Yeah. It's the full Jahns and Fishbain podcast. So Hoge could, whatever. Do you remember the day that Jay Cutler did his radio show in the media dormitory, or he did Bears All Access in the dormitory?
Yeah.
Yes. So this dormitory that we all stayed in, this is back in these are the Trestman days.
Yes, 2013
of the Bears. So this was an all-female dorm when the media is not there. This is where so there's washers and dryers. There's like a kitchenette area, and some poor young lady forgot all her unmentionables in the dryer with all these media members there. Is this okay to share? I'm sharing it anyway. Why not? It's a podcast, right? So Jay Cutler shows up with the PR guy to do his Bears All Access show. Somehow, all of those unmentionables ended up on the golf cart of the Bears employees. So when Cutler walks out and the Bears PR guy walks out, that's what they see. They see all these bras and panties all over the golf cart. You don't remember this?
I do.
Yes. And then all I remember, because it's still a mystery till this day, who did it. It is. I have no idea who did it. It wasn't me. I was a prankster, but I didn't do this one. Where he parked, the bushes were just filled with all the stuff that was now thrown onto the cart for them, and now all over the bushes outside that tent. Did I deliver it correctly? I think it's funnier than maybe I delivered it, but
no,
I always got a kick out of that. Yeah.
Listen,
someone tried to prank Cuddy.
It was a good place to prank. Was it Larry Mayer would always get his golf cart taken after he drove it to Downland. So you'd have fun things like that.
Now, now that I will admit to, because I took multiple. Yes, I was one of the thieves of the golf cart.
I'm trying to remember. I do remember taking part in moving all the couches from the lobby area and stacking them in front of somebody's door.
Oh, we got in trouble for that one.
We did get in trouble for that.
Fire hazard.
Yeah. But I will say this, our good friend who we miss dearly, Moon Mullen. Moon, I felt like, was a little bit the king of Bourbonnais. He and JJ Stankoven sent me this video that the old Comcast Sportsnet Chicago did a day in the life of Moon at training camp in 2011. And he's in his bike gear getting ready to do his morning ride. And then he's at the lunchroom doing interviews. He's at practice taking attendance. He's back in his dorm room writing. And then, as you and I know, when Moon was done with his work, he put on head to toe scrubs.
Yeah.
He put on doctor scrubs. That was his relaxing gear. Yes. And he would sit in the lobby and watch TV. And, as you walk in, whether you're coming from the gym or coming from doing some work, he would be there to greet you.
I always thought it was Moon who threw the panties on Jay Cutler's cart.
We'll never know.
Because he's the only one who never did laundry.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, and actually, I
actually hope it was Moon. I hope he's listening to our podcast right now in heaven or the afterlife, whatever you want to believe.
He's having a glass of red, and Moon. And I appreciate some people tweeted this at me when I noted it. I used to love watching practice with Moon. I would try to get up to he'd be in the top row of the bleachers with the fans, and it was always fun to watch with him. And a bunch of fans noted that he would talk with them, and like he was just like the greatest one. If you're a Bears fan, you wanted to talk to a reporter during practice, you could go to Moon, and he would entertain it. And you know, obviously it's going to be a tough training camp for all of us. We're not going to Moon, we're not going to have JD, who, you know, I would be kind of rolling out of bed, you know, so maybe a little slow to get to practice. And here's JD. He's already done like a 3-mile run. He's as peppy as can be. I mean, we could be talking about, you know, about to cover a, you know, 6-10 John Fox team, and he is just stoked to be there because he always reminded us how lucky we were to be doing what we were doing.
Yes. Yeah, both of them did. Moon and JD.
Yep. And the two of them would be the ones that want to go to the wine bar in Bourbonnais. Believe it or not, there is a wine bar in Bourbonnais.
There is. I'm gonna miss him. All right. Let's go through
the YouTube commenters. You can't make fun of this little tangent in the comments because
this is great.
This was great stuff.
Behind the scenes stuff. You know, I admitted to stealing Larry Mayer's golf cart.
Debauchery, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do this again at this podcast next year, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
we got to find a way to prank Larry somehow at current camp. But anyway,
I'm sure we'll find a way.
Quickly, let's spend like 5 to 10 minutes just going through some of the camp storylines. Number one, everything that Justin Fields does and doesn't do. Well, bad, you know, whatever he does, whatever he says, it's a story of camp.
I think we're all going to do our best to ride the wave, right? If you're watching, I'm doing a little wave here because he's going to have rough days. He's going to have good days, but I want to see the consistency, right? Like that lacked from the whole season. Like he never had that full 4 quarters of great football. So like, can he put together a start to finish great practice and then do it again the next day? I think that's going to be something I'll be watching for, just the ability to kind of be consistent.
What I don't look forward to is when he has that one bad day, like a bad 7-on-7. Because Hoge and I have talked about this. Like, I don't want to see bad 7-on-7s. So if he has one, there'll be some overreaction, both sides. Like telling us not to overreact, telling us to, hey, it's just practice. To the other side, like, whoa, what's going on? Why doesn't he look good? I think he's at this point. Okay, this is probably unfair. I just don't want to see him running around, throwing the ball out of bounds. If the ball gets knocked down, I just want to see quick decision-making in a drill that should favor the offense.
Yeah, that's the thing about camp, is that it does favor the offense. Like you should see the offense succeed. They're going to throw things at him, you know, and the defense is going to throw things at him because they're going to want to challenge him. But ultimately, the receiver should be getting open. He's not going to have a live pass rush, and he should be able to, again, you know, have consecutive runs of completions and stack good drives and stack good practices. So consistency, I'm going to hammer it all the way through. Is like you just want to see that from him.
I think this offense could provide more consistency at some point for him. I don't think it's going to happen right away because we didn't see it at all in the offseason program. Again, when everything favors the offense or should favor the offense. But we'll see. That's it. Number 2. I want to see if Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon can continue to make plays like they did in the offseason program. Should have put number 2 up like this, but because they had, even with Gordon eventually missing time, I think when we were there, they stood out to us. And I know for a fact what the Bears were getting, they were loving from their 2 second-round picks.
The number 1 favorite move from the GM on the survey was drafting those 2. And I think that, you know, we know that there was a desire to get an offensive tackle or a wide receiver. But if these guys are as good as the Bears think they are, a lot of draft analysts think they are, you have a starting corner, starting safety for a long time. And I do think that you're going to see those 2 make plays. I'm really looking forward to watching Gordon. And you know, someone who's such a smooth athlete like him, I think that'll stand out. It's sometimes hard because, again, it's hard to be a cornerback in training camp. Like everyone's rooting against you kind of because they want to see big plays. But yeah, I would put Kyler Gordon probably top 5 of players I'll be watching next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to merge these next 2. This is number 3. I'll actually put number 3 up here if you're watching on YouTube. the holes on the offensive line, specifically at right guard, how that is filled because I think it's a wide open spot, but also how Tevin Jenkins responds to finishing the off-season program as a backup. I think that's a loud and clear challenge of his talent, of who he is, and what he can be.
When I'll keep coming back to when the pads come on, I feel like we could see one of two things. When the pads come on, Tevin Jenkins could be that mean, nasty, road grading, athletic offensive tackle that they drafted last year to be the tackle of the future. Or we could see why the staff hesitated with him. We might see that back surgery has lingering effects. I mean, we're going to learn a lot of, when you guys do this podcast in 2 weeks, you're going to learn a lot. The one thing too with both these spots, Jahns, is will the Bears have to bring somebody else in at some point? I mean, for guard or tackle.
Again, if you're calling a player who's fishing at that moment that you're calling him, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
And they got really lucky with Jason Peters. So when they do bring in a veteran, you can't expect them to be able to step in and be the starter left tackle all year and do a fine job.
I was on this podcast last month, and this was just after we talked to Tevin Jenkins. And I was encouraged by his mindset. He seems in a good place. He's doing Pilates. Physically, he looks good. He's moving okay on the field. He could only get better. And then, literally the next practice that we saw, he's with the backups. So I think this is a bit of a roller coaster for the second round pick right now. See how he responds, because it's clear to me that they want to challenge him. It's clear to me.
Yeah.
That's another point here in terms of storylines. What Eberflus says and doesn't say about who's playing where and when and how, his messaging. I think we've seen some of that, whether it's Jalen Johnson playing with the second team after missing the voluntary portions of the offseason program, or what's happening with Tevin Jenkins right now. I think he is, call it playing games, if you will, but he's willing to do different things to motivate the players he's inheriting.
Look, I mean, this team is not a Tevin Jenkins away from making a playoff run. I think so much of this year is figuring out, yes, they want to win games, but so much of it is figuring out who is good enough to be here for the long term. And if a guy just doesn't have it, I don't think this regime is going to feel any reason to stick with that player longer. And I know there's some revisionist history about Ryan Pace. Pace and Fox did the same thing in 2015. They tried to find guys that could be part of their core, and they moved on quickly from guys who weren't going to work out. That changed at the latter part, obviously, of Pace's regime. Maybe some guys stuck around longer than they should have. But I think we'll see this staff, as you said, challenge guys, because they're just trying to figure out who's worth sticking around here, who's going to be part of this core if we're going to become something.
I'd even go back to Phil Emery trading Gabe Carimi.
Yeah.
Remember that? Something to think about. I got an interesting one for you.
The problem with that is Phil Emery also continuing to play Shea McClellan.
That's my guy. Moving.
Pickleball star.
What? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a long time listener here, you know exactly. Shea's been my guy for a long time. Super Bowl champion.
Love Shea.
Some people are laughing somewhere. All right, I got an interesting one for you here. How the carries are shared in camp, because I have an interesting observation for everybody that has not been shared yet. David Montgomery was playing special teams, and I have never seen him play special teams as a blocker ever until this offseason program. Okay, I think he did it in a preseason game once because he was a rookie and he had to play. But watching him, your number one running back, be a lead blocker on special teams, like what is going on here? He's in a contract year. They've said great things about him. There are great things about David Montgomery to like, but who's going to be the Bears? How are these carries shared in camp? What can we learn from it?
It's a great point. And I remember wanting to get a chance to ask Dave Montgomery about that. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after we saw him out there on special teams at practice. Well, it goes back to what I just said, right? Who's a part of your future? There's a much better chance that Khalil Herbert's part of this future than Dave Montgomery. But Dave Montgomery,
That's kind of a shocking statement. Let's
I agree.
I think
it's the state of the NFL.
And it's the state of that position specifically.
Yes, the running back position in the NFL. If this was 5 years ago, even, I think Dave Montgomery would have already had a contract extension. I mean, we've heard Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles talk about him. He's everything you want in a football player. He does everything right. I think too, this is a guy who runs angry already. Wait till you see him this year. I think it's going to be like, I'm not saying like big numbers or anything like that, but I just think you're going to tell by the way he runs. He's not going to want to talk about the contract. He's not going to want to talk about, he might not even want to talk about special teams, but I think you're going to tell in the way he runs that he understands what's going on. He's very aware of this whole thing. He's just not going to want to talk about it. But if you're Luke Getsy, I think Montgomery's your better all around player, should certainly get more touches than Khalil Herbert. But are you also trying to maybe turn Khalil Herbert into your starter for 2023 and 2024? How do you handle that?
Ryan Poles said at the combine that he liked the running backs room.
It's their deepest room.
My son is watching Stranger Things in the other room right now. Can you hear it?
I cannot.
He's become hooked. Here's one. Speaking of guys who belong, guys that are part of the core, guys who are part of the future. This is a gimme. Will Robert Quinn show up? And if he doesn't, what does that mean for Dominique Robinson and Travis Gibson?
Well, if he doesn't show up,
I don't think he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't put him on my 53-man roster projection after minicamp because
it's a good projection.
Yeah, I just don't. It's hard to envision that. But in a weird way, I think Travis Gibson, Dominic Robinson, and I'll even throw Al-Qadim Muhammad in there. We haven't seen him practice yet. This guy had his career year last year. He knows the defense. So there's at least some intriguing options there at defensive end. But the thing about Quinn is it's this give and take where he fits in the defense. He could be a veteran presence in the room. He could help your group, but he's not going to be here in 2023. He's your best trade chip right now. Now, could you get more for him in October? But if he doesn't want to be here, what are you going to do? So, yeah, I mean, it's weird because I think that could be a storyline number 2. The problem is that storyline could be over with by Monday.
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday when Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus meet the media.
Right.
One of the first 5 questions asked.
The Bears have tweeted.
What is it?
Their position preview of linebackers.
Ooh, Larry Mayer on the case. Here's one for you. What is Justin Jones going to become for this defense? Let's not forget that he is Plan B. So not Plan A, but Plan B.
I've written this a few times that I'm good. I feel like I'm driving the Justin Jones hype train. I don't know if anybody is on it.
Drive it.
But I feel like he's getting underrated because he's Plan B. So I guess it's a fair to underrate him. But this is somebody that, if healthy, that's the big thing with him. If healthy, and you look at the position he's playing and the scheme he's in, what if he becomes something? You'll hear me say this a bunch. Between Nick Morrow, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Justin Jones, I'll even throw a couple offensive guys in there. Lucas Patrick, Byron Pringle, Equanimous St. Brown, N'Keal Harry, all these guys. The Bears are hoping they can one of those guys is Akeem Hicks, right? What the Bears got when they signed Akeem Hicks to it was just a 2-year, $10 million deal, back in 2016, and then look what he became.
He became one of the best defensive linemen in the league.
So again, I'm not saying any of these guys are going to be Akeem Hicks, but I do think there's this sense of we're going to try all these guys who fit everything we want, and we're hoping that there's still a lot of potential for all of them. And it's a question to me is who of that group becomes that guy? if I had to put it on somebody right now, Jahns, you can hold me to this. I'd say Nicholas Morrow becomes that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that because he's calling the plays for the defense and Roquan Smith is
Ooh,
not?
maybe.
I actually didn't have that on my list, but still
He's
an
very
observation from the offseason program.
for fans that are going to training camp. He's fast. I mean, and that's something. And Roquan Smith too. It's gonna be fun, I think, to watch the two of them work together. But yeah, some like one of these guys, you'd imagine, like the hope is all of these guys emerge, right? But the reality is, there's a reason these guys were available for as low cost as they were. So the hope is that they can get one or two or three of them to really become stars, or not even stars, but become long-term reliable guys.
For those coming out to camp, Nicholas Morrow is wearing number 53. Justin Jones, you know it?
Yes. 93.
Oh, well done. Well
Yes.
done. Nailed it.
Will
Number
Sutton's
93.
number was not retired.
Will Sutton.
Yeah.
Good pull. Good pull. Last one for you. Who is catching the darn ball at camp other than
Me.
Darnell Mooney?
Actually, not either of us, because a ball was thrown in our direction.
That reminds me, I'll put the phone away, Adam Jahns, and be a little bit more aware. Although I got notepads and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't.
That coach in Northern Illinois deservedly
he
mocked us.
shook his head at us. Well, the problem was that ball fell. So let's break down the play really quick. Okay, it's the end of a goal line play. Fields is scrambling to his left. He throws it out of the end zone, and it goes right in between two of us. And I'm hand up. I stepped away.
So did I.
I didn't even bother.
My hands were full.
Well, for one thing, my hands were full. I was holding a water bottle, holding my notepad. I'm not gonna stick my arm out and just knock it. And the problem was it rolled all the way down into the weeds. Is an understatement. Like, multiple equipment members came over to this area and looked at each other and shook their heads. And I think that ball's still there.
It went now. Oh yeah. Along with all the balls left there from the kicking competition a few years ago.
Casey Bednarski's kicks are in there. Yeah, nobody wanted to go get that ball. So somebody in Hallis Hall is watching that clip and laughing at the two of us. Just
I hope so.
Moving aside, no,
we did. We literally moved out of the way.
Who here? I'll throw this question at you. If Darnell Mooney is your number one pass catcher you trust, I would argue Cole Kmet might be number two. I would even go as far as saying David Montgomery's number 3. We don't know anything about these other wide receivers.
No,
and none of them showed us much of anything in the spring.
I'm trying to think, who could be this year's Marquise Goodwin, where you're like, oh, he's fast. Maybe they have something there. Byron Pringle.
Yeah, but
some of those underneath crossing routes. Yeah, it should be. Yeah,
should be Pringle or Equanimous St. Brown. I'm very interested to watch N'Keal Harry. I'm very curious to see what he looks like in a Bears uniform and how they use him. But yeah, I mean, somebody's got to step up. I'll tell you this though, actually, who's going to be the fan favorite receiver? It's going to be Velus Jones.
Yeah, I think
or Chris Fink.
Yeah.
I actually wrote that Chris Fink is my front runner for Tanner Gentry fan favorite of camp award.
It's still named after Tanner Gentry, huh? Who is it before that? Dane Zanzenbacher,
Andy Fantuz, Daniel Braverman.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think that. But I think Velus Jones is going to be I think when we leave camp, he will probably have turned a lot of heads.
I'll say it again on this show. I was impressed by what we saw in the offseason program. The dude is fast. The dude can catch, and he's big.
He's much bigger than I expected. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Solidly built and can move. I don't know what the ceiling is for him. He is 25. I get it. I get all the concerns, but he's going to stand out to people. I think he definitely will in training camp.
Kevin Shaw, undrafted rookie out of Liberty.
He's not on the roster.
He's not on the roster, but he's in the running for Tanner Gentry Award. I think he's gonna, when the third team comes out, he's gonna be catching pass after pass after pass.
Oh, that's the Nathan Peterman show too.
That's true. Not the fan favorite.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I hope that gave everybody a decent preview for camp. Again, Saturday, rookies, quarterbacks, and injured veterans report to Hallis Hall. Tuesday will be our next show. Maybe live from Hallis. So I'm not sure, but that's when we meet Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. I think Justin Fields will speak to us that day too. I don't know. I don't know what the rundown is completely, but we should know more then. Read us, the Fishman, the fully bearded Fishman, and myself on theathletic.com. Follow us on Twitter if you're not already. Merchandise, hobbyshirts.com. Go mock Adam Hoge on Twitter for being on vacation yet again. Read his stuff at allchgo.com. Any final thoughts, Kev?
No, I'm going on vacation.
What?
Speaking of vacation, yeah.
I know you are.
I'll
See
be
you
back. I'll be
Tuesday,
back
though.
before camp. Yeah, I'll be there.
We'll see you Tuesday.
I'll be there. Just sneaking away. Quick trip.
Quick getaway. We all need to
Quick getaway.
recharge.
When you have kids, Jahns, you understand the importance of trying to get away for a little bit.
We're on the final week of baseball here. Won our first 2 playoff games yesterday. We got more today. Let's go, boys. That's it. Okay, fine. Anyway, thanks for the good luck, Kevin. We will talk to everybody next week. See ya.